The Times of Israel is reporting that Israeli lawmaker Avi Dichter, I'm probably pronouncing that wrong, called for the segregation of West Bank roads to stop the wave of vehicular terrorist attacks. So here's what he said, quote, that separating Israeli and Palestinian drivers on West Bank highways was an inevitable move. This is a significant issue, not only politically, but operationally. Ultimately, we must move towards separation. He continues, segregating roads would ensure that Palestinian vehicles wouldn't be able to enter Israeli settlements, and Israeli vehicles wouldn't be able to enter Palestinian cities or villages. Okay, now, understand that this is not without precedent. They did it during the Second Intifada. But the point of this story is there's now nothing else to call it. And they're not even really trying to hide it anymore. It is segregation. Now, the Israelis would argue, but there was a wave of terror attacks, and Palestinians were attacking Israelis. So we have to do it. But then we get to the old problem of, but you're going to punish all Palestinians for the actions of the ones who actually did violence. You're going to say, well, let's set up separate roads. But wait, not every Palestinian who's going to drive on the roads is guilty of terrorism. And by the way, aren't you also not acknowledging the fact that there are many settler terrorist attacks on the Palestinians? Let's not forget that, man. We just did a story where there was a firebombing of 2 Palestinian homes. In one of them, a 1-year-old baby died. A baby died. And that's just one of thousands of attacks that have happened over the last decade. So there's not even an attempt to smooth over the bullshit anymore. They're saying, yes, segregation is the way to go. They even used the word segregation at one point. Segregation. So then don't scream and yelp and bitch and moan when people, including myself, have referred to you as an apartheid state. Because that is what you are, and at this point you're almost admitting it. You're almost using the word apartheid. You're now using the word segregation. Just go that one extra step because you know that's what it is, and it is apartheid. Okay, and by the way, is there a very quick, simple, fairly easy fix to limit the violence on both sides? Yes. You know what the answer is? A 2-state solution. Oh my God, you're so concerned. Oh, Palestinian terrorists. Why are they doing it? Oh, why, oh, why? Now, some of it, of course, is based on religion and is based on fundamentalism, but a lot of it has to do with the fact that they're occupied. They're occupied. Now, that never justifies attacks on civilians, because in my opinion, nothing ever justifies attacks on civilians, but the bottom line is, there is a cure. There is a way to stop it in the majority of cases. If you do a 2-state solution, both get UN recognition, both states get total UN recognition, and you build a giant wall on the 1967 borders, guess what? The violence absolutely, positively, 100% will drop, and it will drop significantly. That's not to say that there aren't still going to be some crazy motherfuckers in Hamas that want to absolutely wipe Israel off the map. Of course, they're going to exist. And by the same token, on the other side, you're going to have some people in the Jewish Home Party who say, no, we want all the land as well. You're going to have settlers, Jewish settlers on the Israeli side that say, no, yeah, we want all the land. So you're going to have crazy people and extremists on both sides who say, we're not interested in peace, we're going to take all the land. But what we do know is that it's likely the case a majority of the violence would stop because most people just want some level of self-determination. Most people just want some understanding and some cooperation and some agreement and some compromise that says, you know what, in the eyes of the law, the Palestinians should be treated equally to the Israelis, and you should get full UN recognition, you should get your own state, and we should do our best after that to work out a longer-term peace deal. See, that's the thing, man. I'm in favor of long-term peace. I understand that the differences right now and the disagreements between the Israelis and the Palestinians are so deep and so thorough that you're not going to fix it overnight, and it's going to take a few generations to fix. But step number 1 needs to start now. And step number 1 is we have to remove the most egregious misdoing and wrong in the region, which is the fact that the Israelis are occupying the Palestinians, and they're saying, I'm not going to give you a state. Now, again, the Palestinians just recently proposed through Jordan at the UN the 1967 borders and a 2-state deal. And Netanyahu didn't just say no, he said, you're anti-Semitic for proposing this. But then what's going to happen, Benjamin? You need to know what's going to happen. That's when people in the Palestinian territories go, well, now I'm going to turn to Hamas. Why are they going to turn to Hamas in that scenario? Because Hamas are the only people who are saying, I will fight back against the evil occupiers, and I will forcibly kick them off our land. By the way, this isn't just opinion. We covered it during the last incursion into Gaza. Before the incursion into Gaza, support for Hamas was somewhere in the mid 40 percentile range. Now, that's not good. That's still terrible, right? But after the incursion, what happened? It shot up to 61%. If I'm not mistaken, I think it was over a 12-point, a 15-point or something swing in favor of Hamas. So Benjamin Netanyahu is Hamas's best friend because he makes Palestinians run into the arms of Hamas. Why would you not want to take away that cancerous ideology? Why wouldn't you want to kneecap that group and take away their popularity? You know how you do that? By doing a two-state deal and by sending the message that negotiations work, compromise works, dealing with the international community works. Why wouldn't you do that? And since he doesn't do that, as I've said before, and I'll say again, I support the BDS movement. Boycott, divestment, and sanctions in order to say, we're going to strangle you economically unless and until you recognize a Palestinian state and you get an actual peace deal to get them a state. Because until you do that, by definition, you are not for peace. You can't say, I'm for peace, but I want to continue occupying, because that doesn't make sense.